And right now we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine, Bostick taking you through to the closing bell with the global simulcast. I'm joined now by Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube, Carol Massar.
What'd you do with everyone?
Yeah, we're missing a body.
Well, this is what happens when you leave, Carol. A lot changes.
Come on, Romaine, you got to work on this.
They let you back in?
Yeah, I know.
I thought they told. I told them not to let you back.
It was tough going in security, I'm just going to say.
All right. Well, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
So Isabel said, no, not going to join you today. Bailey Lipschultz, no.
Yeah.
Alex Semenova, no.
Romaine.
Katie Greifeld, no.
Do you feel a little uncomfortable with all
Not really, actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only child.
Well, it is good to be back with you guys. On a week where, what do we have? The S&P on track for its longest weekly rally since 2023. I mean, we've seen quite a bounce back when it comes to the U.S. equity trade. Having said that, I do feel like, and we had a conversation with Adam Ferrer, that it doesn't necessarily look like we're getting closer to this end, at least not from Iran's position.
Yeah, but investors are optimistic that we are getting closer to it, and we did see a little bit of a reprieve in oil prices today, but still they are high, Romaine. Interestingly enough, there was a point at one point this week where we actually did see the S&P 500 give up its gains for the week, but if things hold in the last minute, we'll be up another percentage point on the S&P 500 this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, on the week, and all the major indices right now are closing out the week higher. They're higher on the month, and we talk about this phenomenal, basically what, depending on the index, has been a 7 to 9 week run here, and there really doesn't seem to be any let up to it, at least not based on the price action that we're seeing. You're certainly not seeing that here on this Friday as we get the closing bells with the Dow Jones Industrial Average closing out the day and the week. Just to double check this, yep, that is a record high, up about 295 points, or about 0.6% here on the day. The S&P 500 up about 28 points, or 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite up about 0.2% on the day. And take a look at the Russell 2000 up 0.9% and closing out the week as your leader, up about 3%.
Oh, that's pretty significant. All right, I'm going to go back though to the S&P 500, if I may. 352 names in that index remain higher on this Friday, 150 to the downside.
Well, you take a look at the IMAP here, and it gives you a sense here, at least on the day, what was being bought. And guess what? Surprise, it was actually not tech. Healthcare was actually your leading gainer here on the day, or was it? I'm sorry, the IMAP is showing that information technology was up there. Anyway, we did have an interesting mix here. On my Bloomberg screen is showing something a little bit different, but it had a big interesting mix here because basically all but two of the sectors were basically in the green on the day. Consumer staples and communication services, the only one sitting this one out.
All right, so a lot of green on the screen there. You can see that in that IMAP, and so I had a lot to choose from. I'm going to go, though, first to the number one gainer in the NASDAQ 100. That was Qualcomm today. And as we bring up the trade for you, can see that stock was up about almost 12% here in today's session. We did get some news, I think yesterday, I think you guys covered it, about Stellantis and Qualcomm expanding their multi-year collaboration to integrate this particular chassis system on chips. It's called Snapdragon, their Snapdragon digital chassis system across next generation Stellantis vehicles for cockpit connectivity and advanced driver assistance systems in a non-binding agreement. We talked to the head of robotics, IoT over at Qualcomm. I mean, this is a pretty big deal for them, and they kind of see this trend in terms of AI in cars, whether it's in their systems in terms of how it operates, or just our ability to kind of almost have, our phone basically in the car, that's going to kind of broaden out to the auto sector and be an important revenue generator, or continue to be and grow for them. So interesting to see, and Qualcomm definitely an outperformer. Going over to the number one performer in the S&P 500, that is Dell Technologies. We saw tech hardware and server companies like Dell rallying today. Dell, of course, making computers and servers, extending that recent gain that has taken this stock to another record. The stock up almost 17%. It's up about 135% year to date. So it has had quite a significant bounce back. Want to quickly mention the quantum computing companies, again, continuing to rally. Day two of that rally. You had the news yesterday from the U.S. Commerce Department confirming it planned to award grants to nearly a dozen companies to foster the development of the domestic quantum industry. So you've got, go through the names, D-Wave Quantum up about 14%. You've got got Rigetti Computing, that went up almost 20%. You've got IonQ, again, about 8%. You look at the ETF, Wisdom Tree Quantum Computing ETF. Thank you, Tim, for giving me that name. Up about 5%.
Well,
Interesting.
I was giving you, hold on, I was giving you that name so you wouldn't have to do all the other ones, Carol.
There was
next
so much.
time I should explain.
Wait, go back to the IMAP. There was so much there. And I got to mention IMAX. I'm just going to go there. I was out a couple of days. I feel like I can do this. IMAX shares soaring, up more than 15%. Wall Street Journal reporting that the company is exploring a sale, has approached some entertainment companies as potential buyers. It's in early stages, may not result in a deal.
Thanks, Carol.
I love
Sorry.
it. I love it.
Sorry.
Okay. Let's talk about some notable
The
decliners
ETF
today.
did not illustrate all of those dramatic increases in
You're
those
right, it did.
specific
You
names.
told the story in a much better way through
Move
those
it on,
stocks.
move it on.
Nice job. I want to start with Uber. Shares fell today by 2.4%. This after Bloomberg reported that it's exploring options for a full takeover of Delivery Hero to better compete with DoorDash. This is specifically outside of the United States. Delivery Hero is based in Frankfurt, but ADRs of Delivery Hero were up today by more than 5%. Uber has boosted its stake in Delivery Hero. It's working with advisors to study ways to increase its holding further and has been speaking to other investors about its interest in the deal. Still, antitrust approval might be needed before crossing certain ownership thresholds. Deliberations are ongoing. No certainty as of now. Also, just a check of retail, BJ's wholesale shares fell earlier in the session, but recovered just ever so slightly, down today to finish the day 8.3%. This after the company commented on a conference call about the health of its consumers, saying that the K-shaped economy, the curve, is, quote, obviously a real thing, and overall BJ's has seen a real resilient consumer, but the only real growth is coming from the affluent consumers. There is, quote, considerable pressure, management said, on the lower income consumers, and the middle income consumers are trading sideways a bit. BJ's also said consumer pressure signs at the gas pumps as well. So they're seeing modest shifts in behavior with average gallons per fill up slightly lower. Interestingly enough, we spoke to David Bellinger over at Mizuho, an analyst who covers retail, a little earlier, and he mentioned the same thing about what other retailers who sell gas are saying, which is that consumers are not filling up their tanks all the way. They're filling up under 10 gallons, which is not something that has really been seen since going back to 2022, which is the last time that gas prices were this high. And finally...
Are you done yet?
Yeah.
No, this one's for you, Carol.
Oh.
The Golden Dragon China Index.
What?
This is all for you. Yeah. The U.S.-listed Chinese stocks today declined after the securities regulator in the country said it plans to penalize 3 cross-border brokerages. It adds to investor concern around Beijing's stance toward internet firms. This is an oldie for Carol, who loves the NASDAQ.
Romaine.
Golden Dragon Index.
Romaine, do you remember when I used to do that all the time?
I do.
It
I did want to talk about yields real quick here.
But the bond market
you guys
closed
are
early.
having it did close early. It closed early at 2 p.m. today ahead of the Memorial Day holiday weekend, but we did see a rise in yields on the short end of the curve, which is significant here, up about 5 basis points on the week, and this is now the 5th straight week that we've seen yields rise on the shorter end of the curve. A sign here that there is more bets going on in this market right now that the Fed will actually have to hike rates potentially sometime soon in order to combat what we now know is rising consumer prices.
Yeah, we talked to Stu Leonard about that. Stu Leonard Jr., of course, of Stu Leonard's up there in Norwalk, Connecticut. And we wanted to kind of get an idea of what the price of the barbecue is going to be at Memorial Day. And customers might need to spend a few more bucks, Tim.
Yeah, though he did say maybe they'll spend more to fill up their tanks. He did say that he has not raised prices at the stores despite the fact that costs are up. He shared an example of talking to a tomato supplier, Romaine, who has had to raise prices or has had to pay an additional $2,000 to get those tomatoes to the Northeast.
Yeah.
He said the negotiation that he had with that supplier was, okay, you eat $1,000 of this, I'll eat $1,000 of this. It's hitting Stu's margins. He's not raising prices.
But this is the concern, and we kind of heard this on the Walmart call where they talked about also that they're eating a lot of price as well in order to make sure that the consumer doesn't see it. But we've seen this play out in other inflationary cycles. At some point, that reaches a limit. And these companies do start to pass it on. And I think that has to be the fear, or at least certainly the conversation that the newly sworn-in Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, is going to have in mid-June when they go back in there and have to start talking about whatever this new regime for monetary policy is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be difficult. What do we see with traders today, right? That they're kind of at this point banking on actually maybe even a rate increase from the Fed.
Yeah, I just said that. I'm curious, when you were talking to Stu, did he say how much that gigantic stake did he keep waving around?
$75.
Okay.
Is what he thought. He didn't have the price on it, but he said,
Okay.
I think
There was no price on
this will
that.
be about $75, which for a tomahawk steak's not that bad. He said, if you know, get one at a restaurant.
I watched it and I just found it humorous that you guys were talking about prices and he was literally holding up probably the most expensive thing in the store.
I was surprised he went for the beef because the beef prices have been have been higher.
Yeah.
Romaine, if you get lonely over there in the next hour,
Don't
come on over to our studio.
No, don't call us.
No,
Yeah.
come. Hey,
I'm out. I'll wheel over there.
come on over to our studio.
I'll breathe some life.
And just hang out with us.
Breathe some
okay?
life into Carol. Goodbye.
I won't see you for a week. I hope you miss me or not.
He didn't. I think he lost audio.